Good evening, everybody. This is Mark from Channel 17 News. Today's top story: teachers are overworked, underpaid, and stressed out to the max. We go to Mark for more information. Mark, what do you have for us? While yes, teachers have been stressed to the max and they're finding it more and more difficult to do the fun and engaging lessons that they've done in the past because of COVID-19 and its restrictions. However, as you know, and I'm sure your listeners know, teachers are very resourceful and they're finding new and engaging ways to make teaching more fun, not just for them, but also for their students. Right, Mark, I understand. Now, in your research, is there anything that you have noticed that works to help teachers stay calm and still keep the joy of teaching alive? Well, yes, in my research, I found that some teachers are incorporating podcasting into their lesson, which has been proven to be engaging and fun for their students, not just for them as well, but also for the teacher. Thanks, Mark. Keep us updated as to what happens. In other news, Modern Music University, me, Mark, will be speaking at the NJMEA convention at the end of February. More details to come. Everybody, have a great night, and remember, stay classy.
Be strong.
One of the biggest growing media outlets right now is podcasts, and I think it's important for our students to understand what a podcast is and how to develop one. Podcasting is so interesting because it kind of lets you become someone that you normally wouldn't be able to have a chance to be. In the past, if you wanted to be a news anchor or a sports analyst or some kind of instructor, you needed sort of to be partners with a media outlet such as a TV network or a radio broadcast company. But with podcasting, it lets you become that person without anyone's help. Anyone can start a podcast in their bedroom, basement, wherever. It doesn't matter where you want to start it. It doesn't matter what equipment you have. You can start a podcast with just a phone and a microphone. And sometimes you just can use your phone. That's it. Like I said, the great thing about podcasting is it lets you become the professional that you always wanted to be and share your knowledge of whatever topic that you wanted, whether it's sports, cooking, fitness, pop culture. It doesn't matter. Whatever you want to share, you have access, and there's probably going to be someone who wants to listen to your opinion. So when I introduce this topic, I first like to share some examples of age-appropriate podcasts for my students to listen to. That way they get the idea. Then we have a discussion about what's it similar to, what did they do to make it interesting. Is it just them talking? Is there music? How is their podcast set up? Because there's so many different ways to present your podcast. I'm interested to know, do you do podcasting with your students? How do you introduce the topic and how do you go about creating a topic? How many episodes do you do? Do you share it with anybody? Let me know in the comments of how you do that. So what I found that works really well is not really keeping it too open-ended in my students choosing a topic. If you have them just choose whatever they want to talk about, it becomes so overwhelming because there's so many choices. I mean, they can literally talk about whatever they want. And I find that some students will literally just kind of almost panic about they just can't decide on a topic. They change their mind 3, 4, 5, 1,000 times, and they never ever actually get started. So the best way that I found is I've created a list of topics that my students can choose from. I go ahead and attach that file to their BandLab assignment, and they can easily look through the topics. I chose 20 different topics that students can pick from, and in those 20 topics are then subcategories. For example, if a student wants to talk about food, well, I mean, food's a very general topic. There's lots of different options. Do they want to do cooking tutorials? Do they want to do food reviews? Do they want to do nutrition? Do they want to talk about the difference between healthy food and non-healthy food? So having them choose a topic from this list, I find really cuts about 90% of the problems right away. After they choose a topic, I then have them decide how they're going to present their information, how they're going to present their topic. Are they going to do interviewing? Are they going to have another guest and kind of do like a radio show host talking back and forth? Are they going to do reviews? Are they going to do tutorials? I kind of go through different kinds of podcast ideas and templates, and then they choose how they want to present their information. Once they have their topic, once they have how they're going to present it, we're now ready to actually begin. And again, there's a lot of prep work into the actual starting this assignment. So if you're interested in doing podcasting, you're definitely going to want to have at least 2 or 3 classes before you even start to record a podcast. Once my students have a topic and how they're going to present it, I then have them do their very first recording session with just coming up with theme music and an opening script. So they're still not even recording their very first episode. I don't want my students to just start recording themselves talking. I want them to feel like it's very professional. I want them to know the steps that it takes to create a media content. So I don't have them record their very first episode. In fact, the very first thing we record is we make a theme music or an entrance song to our podcast, and then we record an opening script. How you're going to introduce yourself, how you're going to introduce your podcast, and how you're going to introduce the topic of today's episode. For their theme song, I always instruct them to make sure that your music reflects the topic and vibe of your podcast. If your podcast is all about sports and sports analysis, then maybe you want some kind of hype music, some kind of music that you would play to get ready for the game. If your podcast is about like yoga techniques and how to do relaxation, then obviously you're going to want music that's a little more calming and soothing. The best way to do this is to use BandLab's filter option when you're searching through loops. You can narrow your search by the genre of music, the instrument that you're looking for, and sometimes if you want to even just type in an adjective or descriptive word into the search bar, you might get lucky and find a loop pack that fits the exact setting that you want. I review with my students how to record in BandLab using the microphone app and also how to set healthy microphone levels, making sure nothing's clipping and being overpowering and nothing's too soft. Since most podcasts are listening and not visual, it's really important that we get our microphone levels perfect. We don't want anything blaring or screaming so it hurts the listener's ears, and we don't want anything too soft where then we have to turn it up and we'll get a lot of background noise or hiss. This is going to be a 4-part series that I'm going to create in the entire month of February, where every single week I'm going to share with you a new topic or a new unit on podcasting that you can go further down into it. I'll put a link down below of the list of podcast topics that I share with my students that you're more than welcome to use. Plus, I'll also link below the script that I have my students use for their introduction. I also share with them that NPR has a podcast contest they do every single year. And if you make your podcast sound very professional, you could possibly get a chance not only to win the contest, but also win cash money. I mean, who doesn't like cash, right? And, hopefully when they are rich and famous, they remember to spell my name correctly on the check. Thanking the teacher that introduced them to podcasting. Just throwing it out there, it's the least they could do. Am I right?